I have a couple of examples for the types of problems we call percent change. Um, this one says the price of a video game Michael wants was reduced from $80 to $60. By what percentage was the price of the video game reduced? Um, Percent change could be asking us one of two things. How much was something reduced, by what percentage was something reduced, or by what percentage was something increased. There's a formula that we can use to solve these problems, and it's the same problem for both of them. The only difference is that sometimes you'll get a negative answer and sometimes you'll get a positive answer. If you get a negative answer, all that means was that whatever it is you're talking about, here we're talking about money, that decreased. Okay, so this formula that I'm talking about, I remember it as final minus initial divided by initial. Okay, so we're given two numbers in the problem. We're given 60 here, and we're given 80. And we just have to really figure out where to plug them into my formula. Okay, well, for 60, that's what the price ended up on. They told me that they marked this video game down from 80 to 60. So 60 here, this is my final value. And 80, well, that's how much the game was to start with. And that's what initial is, what it was in the beginning. Okay, and here, notice I've got to use the initial value twice. Okay, I do the subtraction in my numerator, and that tells me how much the price changed, and then I divide by the initial value, and that's what turns it into my percentage for me. It gives me the decimal value for my percentage. Okay, I went ahead and retyped this out so we'd have a fresh surface to work on. We did say that 60 here was my final value, and 80 here was my initial value that I had to use twice. So all I really have to do now is plug this in. So I've got 60 minus 80 divided by 80. Okay? It's very important not to get those confused because you'll get wildly different answers. Okay, well 60 minus 80, that gives me negative 20. In my denominator, I still have 80. Okay, well, looking at my fraction, both of them end in 0, so I know I can reduce them by just crossing out those zeros, so that's the same as negative 2 over 8. Both of those are even numbers, so I know I can reduce that. That leaves me with negative 1/4, and 1/4 is the same thing as 25%. So my answer here, I didn't lose this negative sign. It's still with this 25%. It has to be included as part of my answer because that's what's telling me that this was a reduction. Now, I have another example here. We're still going to use the same formula. Notice nothing's changing about it. But this one says Joe paid $150 for electricity in October. In November, he paid $225 for electricity. By what percentage did his electricity bill increase? Okay, well, I still have to decide what is my final value. Okay, well, my final value in this one is $225. That's what he paid last. My initial value here is going to be how much he paid in October, $150. Okay, again, my formula is still the same, so I'm going to have 225 minus 150 divided by 150. Okay, 225 minus 150 gives me 75. That is positive. My 150 is still in the bottom. I can reduce that. That's the same thing as 1/2. So I have 50% as my answer. Okay, so notice my answer here didn't come up negative, but that is because I had an increase. Okay, so an increase gave me a positive answer. And going back to the last problem, that was a negative answer. And here, negative means decrease. Okay, so this formula is a really good thing to memorize. We use this a lot in math. You'll see it anytime you have to find this type of problem. And it works no matter if you're finding the increase or the decrease.